If you're in your 20s or 30s in Canada, let's be real, it feels like buying a home is a pipe dream. Yeah, like sure buddy, I'll buy that $1 million townhouse in Toronto right after I sell not one, but both of my kidneys on Facebook Marketplace, and also my spleen so I can cover the closing costs. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. He's a smart guy. He went to school, got multiple degrees, has a great job, making solid money. He did everything he's supposed to do, and yet he still can't buy a house. When you try to follow the traditional path, the one that your parents did, the best you can do is a shoebox condo that eats 90% of your paycheck. So then what's the reward for following the rules? Well, apparently it's getting priced out of the housing market completely. And of course, you've probably heard the finger-wagging advice from older generations, which is, stop getting the avocado toast, stop buying lattes. Like, that's why you can't afford a home, is because you're bad with your money. Like, shame on you. Yeah, because, cutting a $6 latte out 3 times a week is really going to get me that $200,000 down payment. Yeah, okay. You're still stressed, you're still broke, but the only difference is now you don't have that small comfort to get you through the week. And at the same time, you feel like you're somehow failing because you haven't bought a home yet, when in reality, it's not your fault. It's a broken system. Right now, roughly half of millennials and Gen Z in Canada are living paycheck to paycheck. Like, that's messed up. Inflation has spiked, but wages have flatlined. Immigration has skyrocketed, but new homes being built haven't. And with global tensions still simmering, it doesn't really seem like there's going to be an end to this cost of living crisis anytime soon. If you look back over the last 30 years, prices have only gone one way, and that's up. And this is regardless of which political party is in power. We're not going to be voting our way out of this mess. As it stands right now, when it comes to your housing situation, you pretty much only have 3 options. The first one is to live with your parents, which might buy you some time if you're saving for a down payment, doing anything like that, but it doesn't really get you any freedom. If you want to start a family or just have your own space, then this isn't really going to be the best long-term option for you. That being said, it can be strategic if you're still padding down your savings so that you can get into a house one day. Now, your second option is to rent, which is great if you want some flexibility, but it's not great for much else. You're basically just paying down somebody else's mortgage every single month, and rents are only going up over time. And in Ontario, legally, your landlord can raise your rent every 12 months. And then that leaves your third option, which is to buy something. Now, most people are waiting for prices to drop by a wide degree before they decide to start looking to get their foot in the door of the housing market, but what normally happens when prices drop by a meaningful amount, it means that we're either in or nearing a recession. So that means fewer jobs, frozen wages, less job stability, no promotions, tighter pre-approvals for mortgages, and just overall economic uncertainty. Because here's the thing, prices don't just fall in a vacuum. If you're waiting for the perfect scenario where prices drop a ton, but nothing else happens in the overall economy, you're waiting for a unicorn. For prices to drop that much, there's going to be some collateral damage. And if you're waiting for that, you're not actually planning, you're just stalling. Now, if you have been waiting for prices to drop, they already are down a long way from the 2022 peaks. Roughly 6 figures in a lot of markets across Canada, and it's the sale that everybody said they wanted. It's here right now. The problem is now interest rates are a little bit higher. So you see what I'm getting at? Now you might be thinking, well, maybe I'll just wait for interest rates to drop a little bit more, but let's do the math on that. On a $600,000 mortgage, a 0.25% rate cut saves you about $100 a month. That might sound nice until 10 more buyers are showing up at that open house and now you're in a bidding war. That can add an extra $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to your overall purchase price, which completely wipes out any savings that you saw. So if they do end up lowering the rates, that's just going to increase demand for homes, and then you're going to be competing with a bunch of other buyers and you're going to end up paying more for your house anyways. And if you're hoping that prices are going to grind even lower than they are right now, you have to be honest about what that even means for you. Will your job feel more secure in that environment? Will your pre-approval be stronger? Will the bank be friendlier? Probably not. The good thing about today's real estate market is that you have lower prices than they were at the peak. You have very little competition for these homes, and that gives you time to be strategic instead of desperate. Is this scenario perfect? No, but is it the best combination of price control and competition that we're going to see for a while? Yes, it is. So the question isn't, will it ever get easy? As long as they continue to print as much money as they're printing, as long as they continue to bring in as many immigrants as they're bringing in, and as long as they continue to not build homes, then it's just going to keep getting worse. The question you need to ask yourself then is, how do I play it smart so that rising costs can start working for me instead of against me? If over time you're seeing rent prices going up and also home prices going up, that means that inflation is punishing renters but benefiting homeowners. Which one would you prefer to be? They can print more money, but but they can't print more houses, and that's why inflation tends to drive real estate, and that's why real estate is a very good hedge against inflation. And the longer you sit out, the more you risk missing the boat. A tiny dip in interest rates can wake up herds of buyers, and then that's your competition when you're trying to find a home. Even this last weekend, I was viewing a home with one of my clients, and the home ended up getting 3 offers, not including ours, in the first 4 days that it had been on the market. So competition can turn on fast, and it seems like a lot of buyers are starting to wake up and get out there and start looking. And this means that sellers are going to start getting bolder with their price. They're not going to be as lenient or as open to negotiate with you as they were in the past when you were their only offer. From where I'm standing, this is as good as it gets for buyers. If the long-term trend is up, then you want to act in dips like these. You don't want to wait for them to start getting more expensive again, because then you might miss the boat entirely. And if you're still concerned that you're not going to be able to get in even with these lower prices, I'm going to share a couple tactics with you that buyers are using right now to get their foot in the door of the housing market. The first one is house hacking. Now, what that is that's just renting out a portion of your home so that you can help cover the cost of living there. There's a bunch of different ways you can go about this. You can buy a multifamily property, one that has multiple separate living units, or you can buy one, convert it into a separate living unit, or you can rent out one of the bedrooms in your home to somebody else, maybe a student, or you can rent it out to one of your friends. This is a really powerful strategy because it turns the fact that rents are always going up to your advantage, because if rents go up, you can make more money off of this. But also, if house prices go up, you also own the house itself, so you also benefit in that regard. And it's not something that you have to do forever. You can maybe do it for a couple of years just to help with your cost of living right now, and then you can always trade up later. Now, the next thing that you can do is co-buy with somebody else, which is something that I'm seeing a lot more people exploring as a strategy. I had these guys who bought a triplex. They were 3 friends, and each of them was going to live in one of the separate units. That ended up making more sense for them, and each of them didn't have to save up as big of a down payment than if they each just bought something on their own. And you could even combine this strategy with house hacking as well. Say if you and a friend decide you want to buy a house together, rent out the basement, and you guys live upstairs together as roommates. Now, this might not be the ideal scenario for you, but doing this for a couple of years could be the springboard that launches you to a better financial future. Now, before you get into some kind of co-buying arrangement, make sure that you talk with a lawyer and just make sure that everybody is aware of everybody's responsibilities when it comes to this house. What happens if somebody wants out early? Who's responsible for what bills? What happens when there's a repair that needs to be done? That sort of thing. Now, another thing that you can do is ask your parents for some help. Again, this might not be an ideal scenario, but if you've got supportive parents and they're able to help you out, this can really give you a head start. Now, a couple common ways that parents can help their children is to, one, offer them a gift down payment, so they can gift them the money for the down payment so they don't have to save it up themselves. They can also co-sign on the mortgage for you, but remember to talk to a mortgage broker to figure out how you want to structure that, if they're going to be on title with you or just co-signing for the mortgage itself. And same with co-buying, just make sure you put everything in writing so that everybody is aware of what is going on. And the last thing that you can do in addition to the previous 3 is to squeeze every legitimate incentive that you can. There's a lot of first-time home buyer tax credits, there's land transfer tax rebates, there's the first home savings account. You have a lot of options at your disposal, so do some research, figure out which of these will work for you and which ones that you're eligible for. And if you want some help with planning your first home search, check out my free first-time home buyer survival guide. It's down in the description. It'll walk you through the entire process of buying your home start to finish so that you know what to expect, what mistakes to avoid, and so that there's no surprises during this process. Or if you just prefer to ask questions, you can always book a call with me as well. Things are hard now, but they're not going to magically get any better. In a world where the cost of living keeps rising, do you want to be squeezed by it or benefit from it? Prices have already come down, and we're not seeing nearly as much competition as we did back in 2021, which was complete chaos. This is the window and this is the dip before prices start going back up. And if you set yourself up with the right strategy and you act today, you'll be very happy that you did. And no, the right strategy isn't skipping the avocado toast, it's owning the one thing that inflation cannot destroy. But that's enough out of me. I'd love to hear your opinion on the state of Canada's housing crisis, if you think things are going to get better, think things are going to be worse, right? I'm just one guy here, so I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about this situation. And don't forget to check out this video right here for some more real estate tips, or just hit that button over there to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.